If you like this podcast, share it with your friends. You can follow us on social media either on Facebook or on Twitter at Clever Ramblings. If you have any feedback or comments, please mail us at cleverramblings@gmail.com or visit our website cleverramblings.weebly.com. As always, we really appreciate you listening, and now enjoy today's podcast.
Podcast. I am Ivan,
and I am M.
And today we will be returning after sort of a 4 to 5 month hiatus. And today we'll be talking about two topics. We're going to try to keep it, relatively short, so about 40 minutes. And today we'll be discussing basically, since last time we recorded in February, of course, COVID happened. And we haven't recorded since, and so we kind of want to say what our thoughts are on COVID and kind of how it's been in our respective countries. Emma's in Germany, I'm in England, and then we will finish off by talking about basically we have some big announcements on our future plans. So we're both academics, and so we kind of want to say what are our next steps. Yeah, so thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, so let's start with Corona, because nobody has enough of Corona yet.
No, I learn something every day.
Yeah, okay. So of course you're in the UK and I'm in Germany, so probably we had different experiences with Corona, because here in Germany it started out pretty bad, but I think here we handled it pretty well. We shut down everything, of course. But after 3 or 4 weeks, I think, it was getting better. And we start opening up shit again. And now I think it's around, last week we had around 500 cases and the week before. But now apparently they are rising again. So they are already saying that here in Germany we already have the second wave, that they are rising again the cases and they're gonna keep rising. So I don't know how it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. But I think overall Germany handled it pretty well, especially for the lethal cases. I think we're pretty low was that concerned. And I don't know. We of course now have mandatory masks in common spaces like...
When did y'all start having mandatory masks?
I think, is that 2 months ago now? I think 2 months ago that when they reopened the restaurants and all of that, we had to wear masks everywhere. Or maybe 3 months ago already.
Wait till you hear about my experience about that. About that in the UK, but you keep going.
Yeah, so where we basically have to wear it is in the grocery store, public transport and stuff like that, where you're close and in inside areas you have to wear masks. But for example, I haven't been to the gym in... I think it's now almost 4 months, even more than 4 months.
You're so tiny.
No, I worked out at home, but
yeah, okay.
But still,
we know what that means, huh?
Yeah, I really work out at home.
Mainly cardio, is what you saying?
No, I do. I got a lot of weights, which was trash at the beginning because you couldn't get anything anymore. I had waiting periods of 2 months until they ship stuff to you, which also I realized that how much we depend actually on online shopping and what we expect nowadays. I was like, wait, Amazon is not delivering me that shit in 1 day anymore. That's super trash. So, but yeah, overall.
How long did it take them?
I didn't buy it on Amazon. I bought it in an online shop for sport gear because they had 3-day shipping. But Amazon, it said it's gonna be ready shipping in July, which was back in April. So it took 2 or 3 months because if you remember, they had priority on what they gonna ship. So they had the utility stuff and important stuff, which was also sometimes stupid because I saw... What did I see? I saw Ice Maker or something that was shipped 1 day, which is, do you really need that? But whatever. But
people need their ice, man.
Yeah, they do need their ice. But overall, I think we handled it pretty well, and I hope that we still keep handling it good, not like other places, not to name the countries, but yeah. So how was
No,
how
you
was
go, you gotta say my homeland. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's not only also like Brazil, they are also fucking up real bad.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, so how was your experience in the UK?
very different because UK did not handle this well at all. It's what, July? So we're recording this end of July.
Yeah.
I think they just started making masks mandatory in shops like a week ago, or like
Okay.
a few days ago or a week ago, after everything was already opened back up, and we're just like, okay, like, because literally, so you could during the height, like I think the cases are kind of like stabilizing a little bit now, but initially like we were very late to close stuff, and so everything was very, very rushed. Like it was a very like bad process because they could have like closed, I think, a little bit more gradually. Like, okay, close, central things where it could spread first and see how that goes. But we kind of like, it seemed like we just shut everything down at the same time.
Yeah.
And we were very late, so everything had already kind of spread already. And so like the first few months was just very, very, very bad. And now that things opened up, I think July 4th, July 4th, I think, is when like barbershops open, restaurants open, pubs opened. So we're about a month into that. And it's just like, now they said, oh, you need to wear masks now in supermarkets. When this whole 4 to 5 months, we hadn't had to wear masks in any capacity.
Did you wear a mask?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I wore, I mean, put it like this, I kind of played it by ear. So like, if I'm at college, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna wear a mask, like at college, because one thing I'm not gonna do is like, it seemed like it's kind of weird because one of the things that annoyed me about how the UK and sort of all these places sort of handled it is like when people, it just showed me when people become afraid, they shut their brain off, right?
Yeah.
And so like this whole thing of like, oh, like, yeah, you should wash your hands. You should wash your hands anyway. Okay?
Yeah.
But when they're like, your room, like, wash your hands, I think it was like every, 30, or so it was like something crazy like wash your hands. I'm like, listen, if I'm in my room by myself,
Yeah.
COVID is not magically going to fucking appear out of nowhere, okay? Like, either I have it or I don't have it. Like, by the time I've washed my hands when I got in, like, and whatever I did, and wash them when I go to the bathroom, it's not magically going to, like, I was like, that's just not how biology works.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think, so initially some of the, like, a lot of the advice just didn't sit right with me because I was like, this is just people reacting as opposed to using their brains to think about, like, what to do. I think Cambridge, for example, advised everyone to, like, go home. Yeah. And it was like, they were like, I'm like, that's the worst thing to do because now you're just
spreading it, yeah.
Right, because they was like, well, we know what you're thinking. It's gonna be a hub, and I was like, yeah, like it's a hub for fucking transmission. And they were like, well, it'll basically the whole logic was it'll be people like you, for example, that aren't sick, right? And this is what sort of university and stuff was trying to say, and I was just like, but we don't know. Like, unfortunately, when I get COVID, I don't turn green.
Yeah, that's
right?
The problem with COVID, that the asymptomatic people spread it a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's like, oh, you're pink, you have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who has what when I'm going to the airport.
Yeah.
So, if I go to the airport, I'm interacting with many more, like, vulnerable people, because if I'm in Cambridge, like, and I explained this to some people before, I was like, honestly, the best place kind of to be sick would be at like a university in a way, because the way that what we knew of COVID at that point, right, before like it started also affecting young people, is young people get sick, but the symptoms are a lot less severe.
Yeah.
So it's better for all of it. So, I mean, of course, there are older people in Cambridge and in universities, of course, but majority of them are going to be young people
Yeah.
who are going to be relatively healthy. So if you want someone to be sick, if you want it to be spread anywhere, you'd rather contain it within a population that's going to affect the least.
Yeah.
Right? And that will be the strongest to combat it. So I was like, listen, we should all kind of, if we're going to get sick, we should all stay here because we would still kind of be able to help each other in some way.
Yeah.
Right? And again, I'm not saying it wouldn't suck or it wouldn't be hard or anything like that, but it would definitely be a lot better than like, so I was like, you want me to go through nasty ass London City. You want me to go to nasty ass London Airport, nasty ass plane, nasty ass Philly Airport, then nasty ass Philly, then go back to like where I live.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that. I'm gonna catch a whole bunch of shit. Who knows what I'm gonna catch by the time I get back? Right? Like so to me, I was like, and you're spreading it all over the world because even people who are on the same plane as me, they may not necessarily be stopping in Philly.
Yeah.
They may have a layover and go to another country. I'm like, you're just spreading it all over the world. And so to me, it was just like, and I'm maybe spreading it to people who are more vulnerable than I am.
Yeah, that was the problem from the beginning. If all the Chinese people would have stayed in China, then there would be no problem. But because of globalization, they traveled everywhere, and so that's how they spread. So like air travel or like going to other places is the dumbest thing you can do during the height of Corona, because you're just basically spreading it. If you just stay at your place, who are you really gonna spread it to? There's a small area of effect. But if you go to the States, you have so much people that you are interacting with that they could spread it then to somewhere else, and they're gonna take it somewhere, and so yeah.
Right. And so to me, I knew that I was like, I don't understand how people are like, how a lot of.
But did a lot of people leave Cambridge then when they recommended?
A lot of people
Okay.
left, and it wasn't just Cambridge. I mean, I think a lot of people a lot of campuses, even like my undergrad, I think in Scranton, they sent like a lot of universities sent people home.
Okay.
Like they were living on campus. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, that is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because everyone is interacting with everyone. And so like, that's the worst possible. The good thing is it wasn't like, as lethal as Ebola or something like that. We all would have been fucking dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. We need to all stay put.
Yeah.
Because these things, infections, they increase exponentially.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, so I mean, as far as like, as far as like, wearing masks, like if I'm at college, I won't wear a mask typically, because I mean, it's not a lot of people here, a lot of people left, and we haven't had really anyone that's really been sick here since it started, right? And Cambridge has a very low infection rate, as like I think last time I checked it was like 5.1, so 5 cases per 100,000 people, which again is like the privilege keep getting more privilege because it's like the lowest, some of the lowest in all of England or all of county.
Yeah.
And so, however, like if I'm going into the city, like if I'm, even before they made it mandatory shops, like if I was going to the mall or I was going to buy something, I think I had them in the shops anyway, because I was like, it's a shopping place. I'm going to try to like, or if I'm going into a city where it's a lot of people, where it's a lot more people, I will wear a mask. Now, if I'm with friends, like if I'm at a get together with friends, I'll wear a mask into the city while I'm interacting with all the other people.
Yeah.
But then my friends, I kind of, in a way, which I guess is not necessarily the best thing, I trust them that they have like, you know what I'm saying? Like I believe like we all have kind of been distancing. We've all kind of been on lockdown for some point, and we, at least if we're going to take risks, we're all taking measured risks because we're all, like not necessarily that you have to be educated, but it's like we are people who are able to like think rationally or try to make, or really be able to think critically about information and use it to make decisions, right? So I kind of trust my friends. So I'll be, go out with my friends and stuff like that, but there's not many of them here, so I tend to interact with the same people.
Yeah.
So it depends. If it's a get together, no, not as much, but on my way to things, or if I'm in town doing some shopping or picking up some stuff, yeah, when I got my hair done, things like that, I wear a mask. And I encourage everyone to wear a fucking mask. It's like But I do, one thing that I do want to say is there's been like a lot of people who, I see it all the time on Twitter, and you see it all the time, like people getting upset at other people not wearing masks, right? And I think in a way you have to cut those people some slack in a way. And here's why. Because one of the arguments is like, well, medical people, like doctors wear it all the time, blah, blah. But okay, they're doctors. They've been doing that shit since they started medical school. Like, it's wearing a mask for like a medical professional is nothing. They do it so often, right?
Yeah, but it's not that hard.
No,
I get
I'm
if you have.
It's that hard. I'm not saying it's that hard. What I'm saying is, whenever you want people, you have to think so you kind of have to think about humans, right? Humans are adaptable. We can change. But as we've seen with most issues in history, right? Change, it takes us a while to adapt to things. Right? And to expect everyone to get on board immediately, I think it's just unrealistic expectations. Of course, that's what you would want, but it's unrealistic expectations. So maybe like cutting people slack is the wrong word, is the wrong way of putting it, but it's more like, if lockdown has been hard on everyone. It's been hard on so many people, and so once people can get out and enjoy themselves, yeah, people are going to want to do it. Like, not everyone has. I don't believe not everyone has the same will power or the same resilience or ability to be able to, be on lockdown and come out and still, be somewhat constrained, right?
Yeah, but I think wearing a mask is not really a constraint. You can say that about everything. Like, for example, seatbelts. You could say that's restraining me. That's hindering me for like.
People still don't do that though.
Yeah, but the amount of people is very, very slim, and they are stupid. So, of course, I don't expect everyone to wear a mask, because a lot of people think, no, I'm a free human being, I don't do that. But still, I expect that from the majority. Like, I expect from the majority that they gonna wear seatbelts. Or they gonna, okay, maybe that's not a majority who wears a helmet for bicycling, but
right, exactly. Think about all the stuff that people should be doing. Like in Cambridge, there's a lot of people who bicycling. Everyone
but that doesn't really affect other people. So let's say wearing a helmet.
If you crash into someone.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a difference if you wear a helmet. That just protects yourself. I wouldn't say that if you wear a helmet, the other people's are more safe. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
So
I mean,
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
well, no, seatbelt still is more about yourself still. But I would say seatbelts and helmets. I would say so I've worn seatbelts and helmets. I would say a mask.
Good for you.
Yeah. So look at me being like an experienced. I would definitely say that wearing a mask is more uncomfortable than wearing a helmet or a seatbelt. Seatbelt is least uncomfortable. Helmet is like second. Mask is third.
Yeah. I would.
I'm not saying like wearing a mask is not the most the most comfortable.
No, comfortable it's definitely not, especially if it's really getting hot. But I think it's more like comparing seatbelts and helmets to the mask. Mask is more like being respectful to other people, and the other one is more like being rationalist to protect yourself. I think that's the difference. So should this uncomfortable feeling be more important than the life of others? Because a lot of the time it's not of course you're endangering yourself, but a lot of the time you're endangering all the other peoples around you. If you're going back home and then you're talking to your grandma or like some older folks you are talking to, then that's a problem more than just I don't care, because if I get sick, I don't care if I have COVID, but it's more like who are you gonna infect? So I don't know. It's hard to compare. We basically had nothing like this before. So what do we really compare it to?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is something that we've never seen before in our lifetime, right? Like, we didn't live during like the Spanish flu or anything like that.
But even then, we talked about it even before, didn't we? Even talk about that before COVID, about the parades in Philly that were happening during the Spanish flu. They just threw parades and everything. So even then they didn't wear any protective gear if you're not a doctor. So. But,
yeah. But I'm just saying any time you have huge change, I think you can't expect people to just fall in line immediately.
And you shouldn't
I think
like go up to them and say like wear a mask or insult them or anything, because that's not helping
it's
at
not
all.
Help,
yeah, they're not gonna be yeah, exactly. That's gonna make it even worse. They don't want to wear a mask then even more. I don't know what you should actually do with people like that, because
I think people. I think it comes down to like for example, I think it comes down to people making choices, and people when they make choices, they will mainly make choices to benefit themselves. And I think that part of that is reasonable. You can't be selfless all the time, and you can't be selfish all the time. It's a balance, right?
Yeah.
So think about it. I mean, you could I'm not saying this is a great argument, but I'm saying you could make the argument, for example, right? What's the difference between me, like now the trains and stuff are open, right? So people can travel back and forth to London or back and forth to other cities, and then going from places that have lower cases to places that have higher cases, and then coming back, right? Should we be like, oh, you shouldn't travel because there is a risk involved with you traveling to a more populated place that has a higher number of cases and then coming back, because then you could affect other people, right? Should we say you shouldn't go anywhere? Should everyone just stay in the same city?
And that's the problem, that there are certain boundaries that if you cross that, people just gonna say, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Because already the shutdown was really hard, so I think that, I don't know if a majority actually was for that, but you just had to do it. But if we talked about that before we started recording, if you go back to the complete shutdown we have before, people just gonna say, fuck it, no, we're not doing that anymore. Because there comes a certain point when people are not oblying anymore, and we talked about that, I think a couple of months ago, that we said that the powerful only have power as long as how did you phrase it, as long as they have people they have power over, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the governments aren't gonna, like, the governments are only gonna enforce lockdown to a certain extent, right? I mean, it depends on it depends on what type of government you have. But like, that's what I was saying, like the governments are only going to do a certain amount. Like, they're not going to lock people up, because again, what is power if you have no one to have power over?
Yeah.
Right? So, and also, like, they're so eventually they're going to kind of let people do what they want, as long as they can maintain that more higher level of power. Right? So on higher level, they can say, okay, you can't do these things, right? So we have the ultimate boundary, but we can't micromanage everyone's life.
Yeah.
Because then it's just not, like, then you'll get riots, you'll get things like that, and then you'll get more conflict, and then you might get people, fighting with police, and then people get killed, and then again, you don't have anyone to govern. If the government could, like, the United States government, for example, can kill every single civilian.
Yeah.
Right? They have the firepower. We know this. They spend that much money on it.
Yeah.
Right? They have the firepower to do it. But they would never do that, because it wouldn't, like, even the riots that happened in the States, they would never do that, because if they kill everyone, then who are they going to rule over?
Yeah.
It's no point. Yeah. Right? So, it's no point being the most powerful if you're by yourself. It's only in relation. No, seriously, it's only.
True. Yeah.
I mean, unless you're like, God or something. God's like, I'm chilling, I'm good. But yeah, you can't. So I don't know. So I just think that, how much can you restrict people from doing, like, again, as long as people are making informed decisions about things, like, if you're like, there are decisions that you're gonna make that might risk other people, right? But as long as you try to minimize those risks, and you're not perfect, like, we're not gonna be perfect, but people are gonna go visit their friends. People are gonna, like, I went out to a bar crawl, and, like, when you go out to the city and you go to the bars and stuff in Cambridge, people ain't social distancing at all.
Yeah.
They give zero fucks about social distancing, right? And again, does that mean I won't go to the city? Because even though I'll social distance, like I'll move when people that I don't know aren't there. But if I'm in a city and then they're risking my health, but does that mean I won't go anywhere just because they risk it? Because they, like, you know what I mean? At some point, I'm just like, no, like I'm going to be a free human being.
Yeah.
And do like, and still try to enjoy my life as much as I can while I'm, with the constraints of lockdown. So I feel like that, and like I said, that's why me and Em were talking before, and we were saying basically that this has like, this won't happen next summer. Like, this will not happen next summer. I think put it like this, they have to find maybe not a vaccine, because that might probably take longer, but a solution to how we can have normal society before spring of next year has to happen, in my opinion. I'm predicting it, because if not, people are not going to go. Like, people may be like, okay, this summer, okay, it's extreme times. People they want to talk about this shit may happen for years and years. Fam, no one's going to do that.
Yeah, but I think that we have to live with that. I don't think that it's ever gonna be a way.
Right.
But we have to find a way to live a normal life, but with coronavirus.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna have to put it in a list of problems that we accept that are gonna be problems, like poverty, mass incarceration, all these other things that we just kind of like let go, right? And we just pretend, is going to be a thing that maybe for several years we will just accept that there are a certain number of people a year that will die and be hospitalized and or die from COVID.
Yeah.
And that is just something that I think definitely by next year the world is going to just accept.
Yeah.
Until we get a vaccine. Doesn't mean we won't keep working for one, but it's like, again, people will be people, and people will be like, they can't do this. It's affecting everyone's mental health. Kids, like people who have kids, like home care, schools are a safe haven for a lot of kids that are abused. Like, there's a lot of reasons why things need to open up again, and we need to get as normal to everyday life as we could before.
Yeah.
Because it just won't happen the other way. Like it just this, like, again, this won't. People will not do another summer or another nice. Because wintertime, like, listen, we could sit down a little bit for winter. We're not really going anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
Social distancing, like, I'm social distancing because I ain't trying to be outside, period. Right? So, because I don't like the cold that much anyway. Right? So I'm okay with the social distancing to a certain extent that during that time, right? Being on lockdown and shit. But people are not going to do this next year. Because people are gonna, people are already bold and protesting now, like as far as like, when they shut I think it was Florida, they shut the beach down.
Yeah.
And people responded by protesting, which then defeated the whole purpose of, because they're like, oh, we're gonna be together, and hardly any of them had masks on. But anyway, so the thing is, but that's the United States for you. Yeah. So I think something's is gonna have to happen. We're gonna have to figure out a way, but unfortunately what I think is going to happen is that we're just going to learn to accept it.
Yeah.
And I think that, because I don't think that we're all of a sudden, because I think if you rush a vaccine too much, you don't know how to you don't have enough time to know what the side effects are going to be. You just you know what I'm saying? It's just we don't have that process.
Yeah, and even if you get a vaccine, like, you think that everyone's gonna get like a vaccination like immediately. It's gonna take another year or so until like you can vaccinate all people, because I would vaccinate the high risk, like doctors or like caretakers in like nursing homes. I would vaccinate them because that's the most logical thing to do. But for me or you to get a vaccine, it's gonna take like 2 years at least if we're lucky.
Right.
So
therefore it's just gonna, and I think only what COVID did, I think, which is a good one of the good things I would say about COVID is that it forced us to look at all the things in society that are broken or that are inadequate, that we just pretended that we were just okay with.
Yeah.
Right? Like like even like the whole riots in the states over racism. The Washington football team. Oh my God, that's so trash. I don't understand. But like, the renaming of that so that Native Americans, so it's not it wasn't a racist name. And offending Native Americans. Like all the way that the healthcare system is not equipped. The most advanced healthcare systems in the world are not equipped at all to deal with anything like this.
Yeah.
Right? The economy, how, like we were just talking before, how are you like a multi-billion-dollar company and then you tell them that you run out of money because of a lockdown in 2 or 3 months?
Oh, yeah.
How does that happen? I don't understand. Do y'all not have like a savings account? like y'all don't have, like, I mean, again, I'm not an economist, so I don't know. But like, how does that happen? Where you could be, you literally, your assets are worth billions of dollars, but you shut down for a little while. You can't, and all of a sudden you're running financial businesses have to go on bankruptcy, all this type of thing. Think about all the people in the States, for example, over 40 probably more now, 40 million people who had to file for unemployment because people are living paycheck to paycheck. We already knew this was a thing, but now this really put it in perspective. Yeah. Like, people don't have the inequality gaps and stuff like that for wealth and stuff like that are just huge, that people you can't survive if you don't work constantly.
Yeah.
And that's just the wrong way to do it. It's not resilient. That's a system that's not resilient. It's not made to take shocks to the system and still be able to respond.
Yeah, that's the thing, that as long as everything goes smooth, everything is fine. But as soon as something like major happens, like, everything just goes to shit. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, everything's not fine. We still have all the racism, like all the all the sexism, all the shit bad things we had while it was running quote unquote smoothly. But then on top of that, now that you have COVID, now everything is fucked. Like, everything is fucked.
Yeah, and I would say it puts the problems under a magnifying glass, that you just see how fucked up everything is.
Which I think is good, because the only way to start to really acknowledge a problem, I mean, to start to fix the problem, is to acknowledge it first.
Yeah.
To acknowledge it's there. I've never seen so many white people talk about like race shit and stuff like that. And how I was like, wow, fam, we've been trying to tell you this for fucking decades. But like, the same thing we've been trying to tell y'all forever has been like, now you just realize.
But I hope that keeps on after Corona. Eventually, if we get past that, I hope that we remember the shit that happened during this time, because I'm afraid that as human beings we're quickly to forget, and that we'll just go back to normal and everything's fine again. Because that's, if we keep going down this path now, besides the race shit, the environment stuff, and we are more infringing on the animals and like their natural habitat, that's why we get shit like that. So it's just a question of when we're gonna get the next pandemic if we keep going down that path. So I hope that we really learn something for that, but I'm afraid that we don't, because we talked about that before. The people in power, or the ones who are the richest, are just getting richer. So, and that's the one who have the power. So we will see if we actually learn something from that, or we just keep going down this stupid pathway that eventually leading us to another catastrophe.
Yeah, and we're just very lucky that that COVID ended up being a lot less deadly than we thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, at least for us in the Western world, I don't want to see if like this hits Africa real bad, or like poor states in Asia.
I think in the beginning, I could be wrong. This could have changed now because everything's always changing. But actually, this seemed to be like the richest nations were the ones that were most effectively hit.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, because you would imagine if it started from China, not a lot of people travel to like the poor countries in Africa, or like they are not globally traveling that a lot. So I would imagine that had a effect at the beginning, that it had to take a longer time to reach more poor countries because of that. I could imagine, but I think now South Africa, of course, was one of the first countries that was hit in Africa, and that's one of the more rich ones, or even the richest one, I don't know. But I would imagine that plays a role. But if because I think from what I read is that Ebola has that high of a lethal rate because it hits poor countries and they don't really have health any health care there. So they are not equipped for that at all, and then of course a lot of people are gonna die. So I think we're in a sense we're lucky again that we live in the Western world where we have at least the money to deal with that, because at least you can go to the hospital if you have health insurance. That's another thing, but like in talking about Germany now, at least we have the privilege to go to the hospital if we really need to go. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, overall, I mean, how have you? I guess you don't want to reveal too much because you're a private person. How have you been? You've good things for you?
always only good things happening for me. But now let's move on then to what our future plans are, because for both of us actually there's some big things ahead. A lot of things changing now because I'll just get a PhD position in Hamburg, so I'm moving to Hamburg in October. So
I'm just doing a PhD. No.
But I finished my master's, or at least my master thesis. I'm still enrolled in my master's course until the end of September, but I submitted my master thesis 2 or 3 weeks ago on the 14th, so that's like, now 2 weeks ago. So I'm done with all of that. So I have all my grades, I have all my courses and all of that. So I'm done with my master's basically, and now I'm moving on to my PhD, which is happening in Hamburg. So I'm gonna move to Hamburg, and it's gonna be interesting. I've now been to Hamburg. I went there for to meet the lab and everybody there. So it's a really nice city, and the lab is huge. So I'm really looking forward to that, and the topics are also interesting. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to first time really leaving Bavaria for that amount of time, because it's gonna take at least 4 years. So it's gonna be interesting to actually live somewhere else for that a long time. I've been in Berlin last year, exactly at this time, but that's only been for 3 months. It's gonna be interesting, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really I'm really happy to finally get out of Regensburg. I've been there for 5 years now, so I'm really looking forward for a change of scenery. Yeah.
But of course, the best thing that you've ever done in Regensburg is meet me. When you accepted the drink.
Well, I met you before in the lab, so.
No. You were still the weird kid in the lab that I didn't know. That I was like, I'm not even gonna. And then I was like, oh, he's like, oh, he clubs. Okay, now we can get along. This is good.
Yeah. That was. How long ago now? It's been like 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy. Time moves so fast.
Yeah, I'm so old, man. I wake up, I'm just like, man, like
everything hurts.
I'm like, who beat me up in my sleep? Like, this makes no sense. Yeah, I mean, so that's great news. He'll be doing his PhD and have to learn how to write papers without a million commas in them.
Shut up.
Academic writing is a lot different, man. A lot different. But I mean, you've improved a lot, so I'm really, and I'm proud of you for getting.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll try to visit in Hamburg if .
Yeah, I hope that you can come on Christmas to Hamburg.
We'll Zoom. I'll just put me in a room and I'll be like, hey.
As long as you then sleep also for 16 hours, it's basically the same.
Listen, I was very depressed. I was going through things, okay? That's why I was sleeping that long. Jeez. I was going through it. Why was I? Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah. So as far as, I don't know, so in a very, 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 very sort of interesting turn of events, it looks like I will be, after I finish my PhD, it looks like I'll be coming back home. And going to Philly to do a postdoc. I'm not gonna give too many details about the postdoc because I don't want to jinx it, because it's sort of I don't have like an official contract, so I don't want to like, before a deal is done, you don't discuss too much of the deal, things like that. So I don't want to jinx it, but from what it looks like is when I finish my PhD, I will be moving back to Philly to do a postdoc where I will focus mainly on, sort of similar things I do now. So I study intelligence in childhood and adolescence. So I'll be doing some of that, probably like continuing it, but sort of adapting it to sort of looking at just brain development in general and looking at other factors such as socioeconomic status, maybe some stuff with psychosis, like so mental health and things like that. And also really trying to get into eventually, so I want my path to eventually probably be into education policy. So I'll be trying to transition through my postdoc to learn more skills in order to be, to be that in between, politicians who make the decisions and the scientists to do the science. So I kind of want to have one foot in each door where I'm just like, okay, I still want to do research because I do like research, but I also want to be able to translate. My main thing would be trying to translate findings in cognitive neuroscience and trying to apply them to how we could better help kids to learn, which is a field called educational neuroscience. So that's kind of where I want to go into in the future, to kind of help the kids that, because in a lot of ways I was very lucky. There are a lot of ways that I easily could have not been at Cambridge and that I could have been in prison or been dead or something like that. Like it was a lot of luck that was involved and lucky circumstances and things like that gave me the opportunity to be where I am and who I am.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of go back to Philly so I can give kids from neighborhoods like mine, to show them another way, because I think that they don't. When you grow up in certain environments, you don't see anything else. Like you don't see any. We don't have enough. I think the only person I looked up to as a scientist was Ben Carson. We see how he turned out, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, we didn't really. I mean, of course, you have Martin Luther King, you have Malcolm X, and stuff like that. But not everyone is going to be this super. You can't necessarily aspire to just super crazy activists, like super, high status, high influential activists. But most of the people we looked up to were people, you either going to rap, you're going to play ball, or you're going to look up the drug deal. Like, what are you going to do? You going to sell drugs or something like that? Like that's kind of like the limited options. We don't have the whole doctor, lawyer, scientist, things like that, as many examples as other people. So I kind of want to go back to show the kids that, listen, you could if you hustle and you put your mind to it, you could accomplish almost anything that you want to do. I will never tell people you can do anything if you put your mind to it. I always hate that because no, you can't. Like, we lie to our kids all the time and say, you can do anything. No, you can't. But I would say, like, if, there are many other ways that you could be a productive citizen to society. Yeah. And I think, I wanted to kind of just help give them a chance. And I think that there is no one, quote unquote, like, magic bullet. There's no one thing that will solve every problem. But I feel like that education, having access to an adequate, very great, education that also teaches you critical thinking will take you a long way. And it will help improve the lives of others and for them to, see a way out. And stuff like that. So that's kind of, that's my plan is going back home. And I never thought I would say that, man, because I remember.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I never, that wasn't the, I was going to stay in Europe and stuff like that. And I mean, who knows, circumstances could change. But right now I think my heart is going back home and being close to the family, because, some family issues, some family is sick and stuff like that. I want to get more involved with that. And it's about the kids, man. It's about helping these kids. So I think that's where my heart is more gearing towards, but we'll see. So yeah, it was crazy because I'm thinking when I first came to Cambridge, I was like, nah, I'm never going back. Like, I was like,
even like a year ago, we discussed going to Amsterdam, right? That was also and then even staying in Cambridge was an option a year ago.
Yeah. So I had a somewhat, like I could have applied for, like I didn't have like an official offer, but I kind of had like in the works like a postdoc at Cambridge, and I think that I was kind of sitting there in myself, and I was like, I wanted to do education policy. I knew I wanted to get like help people who are less fortunate and things like that. But I think I was like, how could I couldn't reconcile me being from Philly, being from the hood, being, growing up around all these people and seeing all this in the States and everything like that, and saying to myself, I'm going to work on problems in a country that UK definitely has its fucking issues. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But I feel like their problems, and it's hard to judge these things, but I feel like they're a lot more privileged than a lot of us in the States, right? Like I wouldn't, like, it's hard to say like, oh, it's worse, but the way that I look at it is that it is worse, because I feel like the opportunities are a lot less, for a lot of these kids growing up. And I think, so, so I would feel weird if I'm helping, like, it would be great to help out people anywhere, right? Because there's suffering everywhere, need help everywhere. But I was like, if I know that it's needed in Philly or at my home and I have an opportunity to go back, then why not go back there? So that's how I arrived at my decision. Kinda.
Okay, that's cool. So I think we've been talking for a long time now. I told you that coronavirus is gonna take a while. So I think with that, we're gonna close for today. And of course, as always, we promise that we're gonna be more consistent and that we're gonna upload more regularly. We see if that's gonna happen. I'm actually going on vacation in 2 weeks, so
we'll see. He's already fucking that up, isn't he?
Yeah. So, but I hope when I'll come back, I hope that I will have free time, because the whole September is basically free, but we have to look for apartments, of course, which already sucks, which is so annoying, especially if you're 800 kilometers away. But yeah, whatever. So we're gonna be more consistent this time. 2020, the second half of 2020, we're gonna stop being consistent.
Oh man, yeah. So and hopefully we'll be on iTunes next time.
Yeah, oh, I totally forgot about that.
We're on all streaming platforms, Spotify, everything. We'll be on everything.
It's gonna be fun looking back at that, like 30 years, like still not on iTunes. But yeah, I hope you all stay safe during still the coronavirus pandemic, and we will see you the next time.
Yep.